fresh color here in the northern Nevada desert. We've spent the last 3 days in the Jeep Mojave. It's Jeep's first desert rated Gladiator. Actually, it's their first desert rated vehicle. The Rubicon is set up for the rock. So it's got the 4-to-1 transfer case, it's got front and rear lockers, and Jeep decided to build a vehicle that was kind of a balance between sport and overland models and the Rubicon model, but it was made for going fast in the desert. So they did some just subtle changes on the outside of the vehicle. Otherwise, basically it's a Gladiator. So on the front here, we've got these orange tow hooks, kind of like a powder coated orange. It also has the forward-facing off-road camera, which is kind of cool, and it's got a washer with it. The hood is different than the Rubicon hood. So the hood actually has a center scoop on it rather than the Rubicon that had the two side scoops. It's aluminum. This was designed for structural integrity. We walk around the other side, obviously we've got the Mojave graphics. The badging, the desert rating badging, actually it's interesting because it's not on the passenger side of the vehicle. I think they should add that. It's actually on the driver's side. Looking down below, we've got the Rubicon or Jeep Performance Parts rock rails. We call them sand rails now, I think. Falcon Wild Peak 285 70 17s on the tires, the all-terrains. So one of the other things is that track on this vehicle is about ½ an inch wider. So body's the same, axles are the same width, but the offset on the wheels is wider to accommodate the Fox bypass shocks. The other thing is the front end sits a little bit higher. We were running across some areas where you need rollers that drop into the sand track. And you feel you can go over them with confidence knowing that you've got 11.6 inches of clearance under the axles. And in the back here, we've got loads of room. This is a great thing about this vehicle. It's a truck, and I'm kind of a truck guy. So we got loads of room in the back for like all of our gear. I love the fact that it's got the standard 110 volt plug in the back for my Black Forest cooler. All right, so under the hood, you got a 3.6 liter Pentastar V6, puts out 280 horsepower, 260 foot-pounds of torque. You got two transmission options, same as the regular Gladiator or the JL. You got a manual 6-speed and you got an 8-speed automatic. Behind that is a new Venture 241 transfer case. It gives a final drive on the manual of 57 to 1 and on the automatic of 52 to 1. So it's still pretty impressive low range. The reason they did that is because unlike the Rubicon version, which is kind of designed for rock crawling, if you're in the sand, if you're in the snow, if you need actually some high RPMs and some speed with that, especially in a reverse, you really need a little bit higher gearing on the low range side. So let's take a look at what really distinguishes the Mojave from the Sport or the Overland or the Rubicon. So we just spent a full day in some sand dunes in the middle of Nevada finding out what this vehicle actually does, because it's got this mode. It's called Off-Road Plus, and Off-Road Plus changes a few things on the dynamics of the vehicle. It changes the throttle sensitivity, shifting points on the transmission, and it detunes the traction control. You can also turn off the stability control completely and it will not come back on. That's a big deal. Carving a big turn on the side of a sand dune, that stability control in some vehicles will override a manual shutoff, and as you make the apex of that turn, needing the power, it shuts off and will literally scare the bejesus out of you. It's dangerous, actually. In future versions, actually it's supposed to be coming out this year in 2020, it's going to have the electric rear locker, which is standard on the Mojave. We'll be able to use that in high range, which is kind of a big deal because it's always been a low range option. So as we move down under the vehicle, there are some significant changes, and that's what really distinguishes the Mojave from any of the other Gladiator models. It has 2.5-inch Fox shocks, chrome-plated, heat-treated 7/8 shaft, internal bypasses, and they have the remote reservoir. So not only do the bypasses manage fluid transfer better under harsh conditions, but the remote reservoirs allow it to stay cooler as well. The next thing that we want to look at is the bump stops. They're also made by Fox. They sit inside the coil spring like a normal bump stop. They work. So we were hammering through some pretty good stuff, not only in the dunes, after that on the way up, and you can feel it when you go into a G out where you would normally just bottom out like a hard bottom, which you can actually feel it when those hydraulic bump stops come in. Boom, it's just like you can feel that last inch and a half on the bump stop taking the rest of the impact. So they really thought about that when they put this vehicle together. Taking a look at the underneath the vehicle, got new silver skid plate here. Not sure, I think it might be aluminum. Cast iron knuckles on the ends of the Dana 44 axles. One thing that they don't have on this vehicle, like they have on the Rubicon, is the disconnectable sway bar. If we move towards the back, the rear axle's been updated. It's still like a Rubicon 44, but they increased the tube thickness on the axles, so it's set up to be a little bit more heavy duty. We're told that it's like from a 1 1/4 ton. They also upgraded the trailing arm, or I should say the link attachment points on the frame. This vehicle is designed for, you know, hammering through big bumps and G-out stuff in the desert. And all of the key points on the vehicle, things that would normally take a lot of stress under that type of terrain, have been thought about, they've been addressed and implemented into this new Mojave. They really put a lot of thought into this vehicle. And the last couple of days of blasting around here in Nevada have been awesome. I've been really impressed. There are times like right now when I'd be wishing that I had a Hemi in this. That would be a pretty awesome upgrade to this vehicle. Got all that suspension travel, got a locker in the back, some really good Fox bypass aluminum shocks, remote reservoirs, 11.5 inches of travel. Throw a Hemi in that equation, and man, you got a desert rig.